Alright, so if I sound like a bit jittery or just like all over the place, it is because I was hanging out with my family today and my older sister put me on this thing called a summer moon latte, and wow, I have never felt this energized in a long time, so I might be a bit sporadic, but you know what, let's just move on with the rest of the video. So yeah, 7-star Carnage is here, and he costs 15,000 units to pull and awaken. And this video is going to be talking about if he is worth it, and just my overall thoughts on Carnage. And I do not think this champion is good, let alone worth 15,000 units. So let's go over the pros, cons, and extra of this champion, and let's just jump into it. So the pros of this character: he has pretty solid damage output by himself, and that might be a stretch. I think it's just like solid damage by himself. But with synergy, he is one of the craziest, if not the just best damage dealer in the game. And that is insane, right? But keep in mind, that is a lot of investment and a lot of synergy to make Carnage that strong. So yeah, that's like the selling point of this champion, and emphasis on that because look at the other two pros. He is very fun to play. His SP1 is pretty cool. That's another pro, and then he looks cool. That's it. Those are the pros of Carnage. Crazy good damage, looks cool, fun to play. Let's go to the cons of this champion now. He has next to zero utility. This man does nothing but damage. He has bleeds and he has buffs. That's it. That's literally all he has. He has like passive power gain too, which is decent, but he literally does nothing, man. And that leads me to the next part of his cons. He has zero meta matchups or relevance, and he is just simply a fun damage dealer for like quests. That's it. That's all he is. He is just a fun character to use in quests, and he can also get you like a cheeky world record because his damage output is that strong whenever he's fully decked out. So yeah, that's pretty much all the pros and cons of this champion. For extras, there are his synergies, Red Goblin and Spider-Man Supreme, and he also costs a lot of units. 15,000 units is equal to about $500 to get and awaken this champion. And if people were upset about selling Jack-o'-lantern for $500, but not only Jack-o'-lantern, right? Like a lot of pretty good offers to get that Jack-o'-lantern. Like it's not just Jack-o'-lantern, it's a lot of good stuff alongside him. Or like, you know, you can just like buy the units and save that for gifting or something. But this is just like 15,000 units for Carnage essentially. Or like you can go the other route, which is just like one copy of him plus the Sig stones for 15,000, which I guess is okay for whales because like generic Sigs are still really valuable. But like that is insane, man. And if it was for like a good character, sure. This is Carnage, man. He's not good. Like, I'll be honest, he is just not a good champion. Like, my grades for this character are damage output is an A by himself and an SS with like synergies, because that is all he is known for. He is a damage dealer, so yeah, he's gonna be SS tier in the damage department. Utility is a D-. I was debating this or F, but I chose to be generous because he does have like some mechanics, but like he is a bad utility character, and you need to have some utility to work in this game where it does matter, and since he has none of that, he is just a bad champion in my opinion. And ease of use is like an A. He's fine to play, nothing difficult, he's just kind of there. So yeah, this champion is in my opinion not worth the units, but if you want to see gameplay, stay tuned. Keep watching this video, we're gonna do that right now. So a majority of this showcase is gonna be him without synergy, because that's the important thing, right? It's important to test a character without synergies because Kabam is obviously moving away from synergies, and like you only use synergies in the most, I don't want to be mean, but like irrelevant game modes. I feel like, I think questing is at a bad spot right now. I think like everywhere else that like needs synergies is just irrelevant, and the main game modes are just the solo content where you can only use one character, like Battlegrounds or Alliance War with like, you know, the 3 team slots, which, you know, you'll never take this champion into Alliance War because even if you can slot in 3 different characters for him, or like 2 different characters, he still does nothing utility-wise, so he can't take anything in Alliance War. Like, I remember someone in, like, the main chat for my Alliance was saying that, you know, Carnage would shred a boss, and I replied with, yeah man, he definitely would, like, you know, those Serpent bosses, those Enchantress bosses, that Carnage could definitely take, and I'm kidding, of course, he would get steamrolled by them because he doesn't do anything but damage, but you can't just have only damage in the important game modes. So it's like, this champion is just, he's not good. He's not a good character. I'm sorry, but I'm like, he's so much fun to play. He is a blast, right? Like when I was playing with the 7-star Carnage, I was like, yo, this guy is really fun to play. Like, I love his damage output, I love his animations, the SP1 is top tier. But then I was like thinking about it, because there was a part of me, a crazy part of me, that was like, maybe it's worth getting him one time for like the Sig Stones. And so like I was playing him, and then I was just thinking, where would I use this champion? And the answer was literally nowhere, man. He doesn't work anywhere. He just works for like fun little showcases of like himself fully synergized. So yeah, I don't know, man. Like, he's doing this fight well because he like is a good bleed champion. Like, bleed is his main thing. And yeah, like Safeguard he can just bypass, that's something at least. So yeah, like this character does have some things, it's just like, it's pretty much nothing, but it's just like, it's, I don't know, man, this champion, if you can't tell, this is a filler video, by the way, like the real stuff kicks off during the weekend. This is just to like buy some time, I guess. But I also wanted to make this video so I could like review this champion, because, you know, some people out there might be like debating getting this offer for the 6 stones, and I just want to show you what you get if you do buy Carnage, and you just do not get much, in my opinion. So yeah, I think it was still a cool event to do, like to celebrate the Carnage or like the Venom movie. And you can like buy Venom for what, 7.5 thousand units, because it's like 15,000 for him and Carnage. And, you know, Venom for 7.5, if you're like a new player that has like no 7-star champions, him as your first one is like obviously insane, right? But that's still like huge asking for a base pool character. But yeah, now we have this Cosmic Lane, which you want to have like unique buffs, and Carnage does have that. He has like the power gain, then the fury and the precision, so he can do this pretty well. Like I said, he has 3 things: power gain, buffs, and bleed, and that's really it. So like he will have some use in some nodes, but you'll hardly ever see him being used where it does matter, unfortunately. And yeah, like I don't want to hate too much on this champion, because I think that he is a really fun character, and like he does have genuinely insane damage with synergies. But yeah, I'm just like trying to be realistic here. Like, you will not really you'll not really maximize this champion like if you were to buy him, I feel like, if you are a meta player. But if you just play for fun and for questing, then maybe he's worth it, because he'll get you like, he'll get quests done really quickly for you. That's like his biggest thing. If you want to just speedrun quests, this might be your guy for sure. But just keep in mind like the asking price of this character, and the fact that there are some other champions that do quests faster, because Carnage does take a bit of time to ramp up. Like, not a super long time, he still is a pretty fast damage dealer in like the Act 9 health pools, but like some champions are just made for those health pools, and I feel like Carnage is made for some things like a bit higher than that. But now we have one thing that Carnage does actually do utility wise. So whenever the opponent is bleed immune, he inflicts armor break instead. Now this has a use for some nodes for sure. Like, this is, we can celebrate now, he does something. This is massive. This is why he got the D- grade and not like the F grade, because when I discovered this, I was like, oh shoot, this actually isn't bad. Like, good job Carnage, you do something for once, man. Like, that's massive. So yeah, this fight right here is the sole reason as to why he got a D- grade and not an F grade in utility. So let's applaud this vision for existing, because if he didn't exist, Carnage would just be like in the bin utility wise. So yeah, Carnage is a very strong armor break applier if they are bleed immune. So that's pretty awesome, right? Like having armor break, like easy access to it at that. Then again though, it's only if they're bleed immune, so in regular matchups he cannot access this. If he had both bleed and armor break at the same time, that would be so good. His utility would go from like a F to a probably like C, right? Because for example, if he had both the armor break and the bleed, he could take like Killmonger really well. And there you go, there is your one meta matchup that he like is desperately craving. So yeah, it sucks that it's just for bleed immune characters, because when they are bleed immune, his damage output is gimped big time. So like that's why this fight time just isn't really good. But it feels like for just anyone, that would be so nice, man. But yeah, this fight's like almost over. The basic hits aren't even that bad. It's just like compared to his regular damage output, it could be so much better. And that was like a 2-minute fight. That's like okay, I guess. But now we have the synergized Carnage right here, and he goes absolutely nutty in this fight. This is 10 million health, by the way. Let me just make that clear. 10 million health. This is like what? Higher than Necropolis health pools, but keep in mind, this is a Captain America original. This is one of the easiest champions to fight in this game because his animations are like 1 second long, and that's perfect for Carnage because for Carnage, he gains damage output by refreshing his bleeds. His bleeds at base last like what, 0.5 seconds. With deep wounds, you have kind of a chance to refresh them. And if you get lucky in this fight, you can stack up a crazy level of bleeds. So yeah, once he gets going in this fight, you're gonna see just how wild Carnage is. So now we're at like what, 20 something bleeds. Here he drops the SP1. We get the refresh, thankfully. By the way, the refresh is a 20% chance. So keep that in mind. This is all luck based essentially. If I like don't get lucky with the bleed refresh, or he just like stays there for literally 2 seconds, my damage output is cooked. Like I just stopped doing insane damage. And like even without the refresh, he still is a good damage dealer, but for these 10 million health fights, you want to have those refreshes going. And honestly, this is kind of why you don't see him in like Necropolis or anything, because first of all, that place requires utility, so he kind of just is irrelevant there. But also, if the opponent has like what, 3-second special attacks, he is cooked. Like he just cannot do anything about that. So yeah, this is why this fight is kind of just like the only place where you'll see this crazy damage output, because everywhere else it's just so hard to get it. So yeah, here I dropped the SP1 again, and like the bleed damage is insane at this point. That is absolutely unreal. Yeah, like we are cooking this fight now. There we get the refresh, thankfully, and yeah, this damage output is just silly, man. And then it falls off, so there goes all the fun. like it just falls off, and like all the fun that I was having just evaporated. So that's amazing. And then the refreshes just stopped working, so it's like, yo, Carnage, can you wake up, man? I want to get some more good damage. But he's like, nah, I'm done. I put in my work. I took off like what, 90% of his health. That's good enough for me. So yeah, sometimes Carnage is like one of the craziest damage dealers. Other times he just refuses to refresh his bleeds, so you're kind of just done for. But the fight's pretty much over anyway. And yeah, that was like what, 10 million health and how much? Like 2 minutes and 25 seconds, man. That is absurd. Like I said, he gets the SS in the damage tier because like potentially he can be really high, like he can be really good, but then it's like sometimes he's kind of just there. So like that's why he has the 2 grades of damage. But yeah, Carnage is a very interesting champion. I think he is not worth the units. I think he's overall a kind of bad character, but if you want to have some fun with this guy, he is a really solid quester. So let me know your thoughts on 7-star Carnage, and yeah, that's about it for me.